I went back and forth on making this video simply because we don't have a ton of information yet, but I think there's enough there to talk about. So I want to talk about Bloomburrow today, which is a brand new set that's going to be coming out on August 2nd and will be taking place on a brand new plane titled Bloomburrow, where all the inhabitants are animals. And so it's very unique to Magic. It's going to be very interesting to see how the set all comes together, but just based on the few previews we've seen so far, I definitely think there is reason to be excited. So without further ado, let's take a look at Bloomburrow. Alright, thanks so much for being here, guys. As always, I do appreciate each and every one of you. Be sure to like the video if you do enjoy it and click that subscribe button. We've seen a ton of growth, actually, over the past couple weeks, which has been really, really awesome. And hopefully I continue growing the channel and making more content for you guys. And, you know, covering everything as well as doing some other fun stuff. So be sure to click the bell icon if you want to be notified when new videos are posted. But yes, today we are talking Bloomburrow, and the set is quite a while away. It does not release until August, and it was just a teaser, sort of, that we got at, I think, one of the Magic Cons earlier in the year. Typically they do this when they, you know, when it comes time for vendors to start putting in orders and things of that nature. So it's not surprising, but we did get some pretty cool cards. And one of the things that I love about this set more than anything else is that it is entirely animal themed. There will be no humans on the plane. It's certainly possible that we see some planeswalkers in animal form. I know there's been some art going around of a fox that looks very much like Jace, so we'll see how this ties into the story. But so far, we've gotten a couple cards revealed, and I think they're all pretty cool in their own right. One of them, of course, the kind of cover card of the set, if you will. It's going to be a little bit before we know exactly how good he'll be, because there are, you know, we're needing to see what other support cards come out to go along with him. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the few that we do have, starting off with Burke, Long Ear of the Law. This is a rabbit soldier with some pretty dope artwork, and is a metal carrot as a weapon, which again, just A+ for flavor there. It is 4 green-white legendary creature. It has vigilance, and when it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it attacks, double the number of +1/+1 counters on it. Couple quick notes. They have changed enters the battlefield to enters, likely to save, you know, space on the cards, but I assume we'll see this pretty widespread going forward. So if you're just curious about the discrepancy, or you notice something, you know, as someone who played Yu-Gi-Oh for many years, I don't mind the flavor changes, the quality of life text changes, whatever you want to call it, because I think it just makes it easier to understand. But yeah, I mean, shortening stuff like that for the sake of shortening it is certainly nice. I honestly don't understand why they don't just shorten the name as well to say, like, when this card enters battlefield or whatever, however you want to do that, but perhaps another topic for a future video. This card is really cool, especially as a commander. Being able to double the number of +1/+1 counters on a creature that attacks is just extremely powerful, and I have to give credit to Reddit for this one, but one of the things someone pointed out is its extremely good synergy that this card has with Sovereign Okanek Ahau. I very much may have mispronounced that, so I do apologize. This card, of course, from Lost Caverns of Ixalan is 2 green-white, Ward 2, Cat Noble, and it says when it attacks, for each creature with power greater than its base power, put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the difference. So this card, working in synergy with our other creature here, is an absolutely insane way to stack a ton of +1/+1 counters on stuff and do it in a very quick fashion. Another card that I saw someone else actually mentioned as well is Shalai and Halar. And this is a red, green, white, so you'd probably have to find some, you know, I'm not sure which of these would be your commanders, of course. You can probably build in different ways, but the synergy between these cards is definitely undeniable. This card is flying in vigilance, and when 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature you control, it deals that much damage to target opponents. So obviously, if you have this out and you're starting to double the counters or put, you know, counters to make up the difference, you can very quickly burn multiple opponents very, very fast. So this little 3-card interaction here is going to be something to keep an eye on. I honestly don't know which one would be the best choice for commander, but if you wanted to maximize it, I would think that Shalai would probably be the best, simply because it has that extra red element, and you can put these other cards in with it. But certainly if you don't want to play red, there is still plenty of synergy with these. I just think that it's a pretty crazy trifecta when you look at it there. Alright, next up we've got Bria Riptide Rogue. This is a 2 blue-red legendary creature Otter Rogue with Prowess. It also gives other creatures you control Prowess, and of course if a creature has multiple instances of Prowess, they do trigger separately. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. So it has its own Prowess, it stacks additional Prowess on top of other things, which is certainly not a bad thing to have. And if you use it with cards like Narset Enlightened Exile, it gives other creatures Prowess as well, so you'll have multiple instances of Prowess stacking on it, and then you can get benefits from its, exile as well. Someone pointed out Frolicking Familiar as a cute interaction in Standard. Of course, it's an otter, so thematically speaking, you have that going for it. But you can buff this thing up pretty quickly, and then it has flying, can get over some stuff, just, for something that kind of works within those color combinations. But this thing is strong, and Roaming Throne is a card, was in Lost Caverns of Ixalan, pretty expensive, especially for a rare. It does allow you to, double triggered abilities if they activate. So if you're playing, with otters, with Frolicking Familiars specifically, and the other fella there, you can get some pretty significant damage stacked up as well as making things unblockable. So some pretty fun interactions there to think about from a standard perspective. But overall, I mean, this card's going to be popular because it's adorable and it's just decent. Like, it's actually a pretty solid card. And if we do get other otters in the set or other creatures with Prowess, I could see it being a really fun commander as well. Although right now I do think it might interact best with some already existing cards. So, again, you have to maybe pick for yourself whether you want to slot it as your commander or play it in the 99. But either way, I think across multiple formats, this card is going to have some application. It will not be just a commander-only performance. Next up, we've got Lumra, Bellow of the Woods, and this is a 4 green legendary creature, Elemental Bear, with Vigilance and Reach. Her power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. When Lumra enters the battlefield, mill 4 cards, then return all lands from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. That is pretty damn strong, especially even if you bring this out with only a couple lands in grave, you're still getting a lot of advantage off of it. You have plenty of cards like Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, any fetch lands if you're going into commander or formats where fetch lands are legal, and just being able to basically ramp through it quick, not only powering her up, but getting lands on board. And there's plenty of other ways you could take this, playing some additional landfall triggers, playing cards that, care about how many lands you have out. Someone mentioned Titania, Voice of Gaia as an option. Of course, this card from Brothers War, whenever one of our lands are put into your graveyard, you gain 2 life, and then it can transform if you have 4 or more lands, and obviously you have to play it with Sanctum, and you can make the big Planeswalker, so just another card to consider, interactions with there. And then you've got cards like Entish Restoration and Harrow, both of which can sacrifice lands to ramp you, at which point you can then have, eat more stuff to bring back while still ramping pretty fast. And I mean, again, you get way into the weeds of it here, no pun intended. In Commander, stuff like Jeweled Lotus can ramp how quickly you bring this out, and by turn 4 or 5, you've got a fuck ton of mana and a pretty powerful creature to boot. So there's a lot to like about it, and again, it'll be interesting to see what other stuff comes out in the set to support it, because really we're just looking at a very baseline level of cards right now. It's just unfortunately the way it is with the very limited reveals that we got. Now, Mabel, Heir to Cragflame. This is the face card for the set, also the hero of our story. It is 1 red-white legendary creature, Mouse Soldier. With other mice you control, get +1/+1. I believe that mouse and mice are interchangeable, so it's not like it has to be mice specifically, for whatever that's worth. I don't think there's too many mice that exist already. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't do a deep dive into this because I'm waiting to see what other cards get revealed. I'm assuming we'll get other mice in the set, which will, be really interesting for this as like a mana dork, or a lord rather. Sorry, my terminology all mixed up. And this is a really cool color combination too, because you have access to a lot of different equipments. You have access to a ton of artifacts. I personally play a lot of red-white artifact decks, so I think it's just nice that this could be a commander that can make use of a lot of that. And of course, when it enters the battlefield, you create Cragflame, a legendary colorless equipment artifact token with equipped creature gets +1/+1, has Vigilance, Trample, and Haste, and Equip 2. That is a lot to put on this creature, and of course you can play other equipments with it as well to give it ward and other protection, but this is one that I'm very much taking a wait-and-see approach on, because it just depends on what else we get here. Otherwise, this card will fit really well into something like Nahiri, the one from March of the Machine Aftermath, as a card in the 99, but it's going to be really fun to watch what this set actually shakes out to be, because flavor-wise it seems really cool, but potential-wise, just for the cards we've looked at so far, it does look like there are some really neat tribal type interactions that could come out of it depending on how good the cards are. So this is something to keep in mind. It's hard to really say too much where things are going to shake up, but I know a lot of players are excited. It feels different, it feels unique, and it still feels flavorful to me within Magic because it's fantasy creatures fighting. It's not, you know, in universes beyond type vibe or anything like that for those of you who don't like it. So I'm pretty excited about Bloomburrow, and I'm excited to see more, you know, as the summer comes along, what we're actually going to get in the set. So I'll turn it over to you guys. I know this was kind of a shorter video, but I'm curious of your thoughts. Are you excited about Bloomburrow? Are you excited about some of the cards? Do you think there's maybe some interactions or combos that I missed? Because surely they're out there. And what else are you hoping to see from the set? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.